Okay, so let's go over some of the more fundamentals of the reading section. And fundamentals meaning like they ask you these stuff on almost every test. And I know it includes narratives and science passages and everything else, but I think learning these things will help you answer many of the questions. So let's look at this. So this first part over here says granted, right? Granted, he scored 2,400 in the SATs, but it took him 10 years. So the important part is, well, I guess this whole sentence is important. That's why there's a setup over here. But granted, he scored 2,400 means yes, yes, right? That's basically the same thing. Granted, I give you that, right? Yes, he scored 2,400 in the SATs, but look, it's a contrast over here. So the whole point of this granted is to set up a contrast. And you have to know what this is called, right? And I know I gave lessons on, literary techniques and everything else, and this would be example one of them. So what would the answer to number one be, this excerpt, right? Is an example of what? Is it A, an overstatement? B, an understatement, which is obviously the opposite of an overstatement, a qualification, concession, or a literary allusion. And these are, I derived these from the original College Board questions because they actually ask you straightforward, right? What is this an example of, right? So basically, a overstatement is an exaggeration. Okay, it's an exaggeration. So B, understatement, would be saying less than what it really is. So an example would be like, let's say you scored 600 on the SATs out of 2,400, and if you say, yeah, I did awesome, that would be what? An overstatement, right? Conversely, if you said, I scored 2,300 on the SATs, and then you say, yeah, I did okay, that would be an understatement, right? If you say that to some people, they might actually probably be offended. They'll never talk to you, right? So it can't be these two, right? Because it doesn't have to do anything with that. It's giving credit to that person scoring 2,400, right? C is a qualification. I think this is a harder one, so I'll come back to that. D, concession is basically, concession is the answer, right? And you could watch my other lesson on literary techniques to understand what concessions are. But concession basically means you're giving credit to something in order to what? Contrast it, set up a contrast, right? And E, literary allusion. Allusion is basically a reference to something. Literary allusion means they'll be referring to some text or something that is known in literature, and they're referring to that. But no such thing. So E can't be the answer at all. So you know the answer is D, but what is a qualification? I think qualification is really, really hard. Qualification is a specification or limitation on something. Okay, so for instance, you say like all Asians are good at math except South Koreans, right? I'm not saying that statement is true, but that would be a qualification because I say a general statement like all Koreans are good. I mean, all Asians are good except Koreans. That last part, except, would be the qualification. So in this case, the answer to this number one excerpt would be D, concession.